Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we'll show you how one lab in Kentucky is using 3D printing to help make protective gear to help fight the COVID-19 outbreak. And while campuses are closed across the state, we'll show you how one college had an idea to make sure their employees would keep working. And we take it to Wolfe County, where one business recently donated more than 700 pounds of ground beef to local food pantries.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
The time is now 6:32 on this Friday, March 27th. Thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. I'm Lacey Roberts, and it's Friday. You made it. But also, those great temperatures yesterday was a great way to ease into this Friday, right, Brandon? And we're going to have a good-looking weekend ahead because, like you said this morning, no fog.
Exactly. I drug those temperatures along with us through the overnight hours, and we're going to drag them along through the daytime hours and even in the first part of the weekend. Let's see what we're looking at right now. Almost like a summertime morning out there across the board with temperatures, and you'll see those there in the 50s and 60s, even close to 70. Let's take a look at the Pikeville Medical Center camera, show you what's going on over there. And traffic pretty light this morning, as it should be, because a lot of folks are off work and off school, staying at home, at least they should be anyway, practicing that social distancing, being a good teammate and a good neighbor there for Team Kentucky. We're going to continue to see, again, state temperatures. We'll roll back out to those. Pretty warm this morning. 70 in Paducah right now, 55 in Lexington, 49 in the Tri-Cities, and 60 in Huntington, West Virginia. Weather app forecast. You can download that for free on the app stores, and you may need it tomorrow night because we could see the possibility of some stronger storms. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But today, back and forth with sun and clouds, and we'll see the stray rain chances north of the Howard Rogers Parkway Highway 80 corridor as temperatures climb into the upper 70s. Lacey?
Thank you, Brandon. One person is dead after a crash yesterday in Pike County. Kentucky State Police tell us 59-year-old Ricky D. Akers was driving on Bowling Fork Road in Elkhorn when his truck ran off the road and flipped onto its top in a creek. Akers was the only person in the truck at the time. The Pike County coroner pronounced Akers dead at the scene. And two Pulaski County constables were indicted on federal charges yesterday. Michael Wallace and Gary E. Baldock are accused of, quote, conspiring to violate the civil liberties of the people within Pulaski County. Wallace faces 10 years in prison, while Baldock faces life behind bars. Baldock had previously been indicted for the attempted murder of an FBI agent. A court date for the constables has not yet been set. A federal grand jury indicted a Clay County man on meth trafficking charges yesterday. 54-year-old Johnny Asher of Manchester was indicted on charges of possession with the intent to distribute meth, possession of a firearm by a felon, and possession of a firearm and furtherance of trafficking. The indictment accuses Asher of distributing 500 grams of meth between October 2019 to January 2020. Asher faces life in prison. The Kentucky Supreme Court is extending its suspension of most in-prison court proceedings by another 2 weeks. There will still be exceptions for some emergency cases. The Supreme Court says judges can still hold necessary hearings through phone or video. The suspension is expected to last through April 24th. And with cases of COVID-19 now at more than 200 in Kentucky, Steve Hensley had the opportunity to talk with Governor Andy Beshear yesterday about what he calls a critical period in the next couple of weeks. The governor said that these next 2 to 3 weeks are some of the most critical weeks to maintain this virus. He mentioned that there is a critical shortage of testing kits and personal protective equipment of PPE across the Commonwealth and really across the country. He said most of his days are spent trying to obtain that equipment and those tests. He said he will have more information on testing here in Kentucky in the next week or so, but mentioned that how although there are tough times ahead, we have come together and that things will be okay.
This is a test of our humanity. It's a test of the type of people and the type of neighbors that we are, but I believe by and large Kentuckians are passing it, and for that I'm deeply grateful, and I'm very proud to be the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky right now.
However, Governor Beshear says even when there is more testing out there, this won't just be for anyone who wants it or may be nervous. This will be for people who need to get tested. You can see the full interview on WYMT.com. And more personal protective gear is needed across the country as the COVID-19 impact continues to grow. In Middlesboro, Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College was getting ready to unveil their Ideas Lab when COVID-19 hit. They quickly started using 9 3D printers to make plastic face shields. It takes just more than an hour to make one of them.
And we sort of settled on this one, which is a little bit different, but it just serves the same purpose. But we really did this literally, we started about Monday. So I mean, really, here we are at Thursday, and we've already got ready. These are going to be assembled by our maintenance department.
Southeast is also donating supplies from their nursing programs and respirator programs, making sure they're available if needed. Classes for all 16 colleges in the Kentucky Community and Technical College system will be going online for the rest of the semester. Hazard Community and Technical College is one of those colleges, and President Jennifer Linden says all content can be put online and completed remotely. But Linden says there is one aspect of education that cannot be completed online.
We do have some students who have lab hours that are required for their programs, and for those students, just as soon as we can get students safely in labs again, we will begin to make up those hours and that lab time.
Linden says they do have Wi-Fi hotspots available on all in-campus parking lots so that not only students but the community can complete their studies and their projects. With campuses closed across the state, the University of the Cumberlands is keeping their employees busy. They're loading up their vans, delivering food to churches, schools, and senior centers. If you know anyone that should be added to their list of families to serve, you can contact the University of the Cumberlands at 606-539-4357. And yesterday, the college also announced a new admissions policy to help students unable to take the ACT. We have that information on WYMT.com. And with more than 2,000 people in Floyd County out of work since the pandemic hit, food insecurity is the next focus for county leaders. Officials are working to keep food pantries and feeding programs well stocked, but the need is increasing. Pastor Judy Yunker, whose church runs Fishes and Loaves Food Pantry in Prestonsburg, says the ministry serves a growing number of families every week, leaving them with less and less supplies. That is where the fiscal court stepped in. Thursday, the court voted to move $200,000 from the emergency fund to address possible food insecurities.
The food pantries and our senior citizens programs, we think, is the two organizations that we can work with to ensure that we get some additional folks fed.
The county will not hand over money to the pantries, but will pay for food or reimburse purchases. The funds will also benefit daily senior meals programs. Williams said it is the county's way of making sure meals are available to all. And the JSW Farm Chop Shop in Wolfe County donated more than 700 pounds of ground beef to local food pantries. WYMT's Dakota Makeris was with them yesterday as they made those deliveries.
These boxes are full of fresh Eastern Kentucky meat. 750 pounds of ground beef.
In times like this, with a few shortages in different stores, I think it can really help out a lot of families, feed a lot of children, really anyone that's in need.
Michael Lacey manages the JSW Farm Chop Shop in Wolfe County.
We're employing a lot of local people. With that, we want to support the places they come from, their families, their friends. We just want to give as much as we can to this community.
Loading up boxes.
It's a lot of meat.
Heading out to local food pantries. The first stop, Catholic Church of the Good Shepherd, where we find Sister Marie Pleiss, who hopes the meat will go to good use.
And I know the people in this county, what they'll do with 2 pounds of ground beef, they'll feed a big family for several days. So I'm guessing a lot of people will be making pots of chili and things like that.
The last stop brought us to Abiding Hope Food Pantry.
We weren't expecting it.
Pastor Eugene Spencer coordinates the pantry, helping the senior citizens in the community that may not be able to visit a grocery store due to the coronavirus.
If they can't come, we've got people that deliver to them. Our main focus right now is the seniors and the elderly people to make sure they're taken care of.
Neighbors helping neighbors.
We're very appreciative of them. It won't be forgotten.
In Wolfe County, Dakota Makeris, WYMT Mountain News.
Some of the meat was already given away to one family in need.
Another mild start to the day after a cooler morning yesterday. Some spots are almost 30 degrees warmer this morning than it was this time yesterday. But look at this. Lots of 60s showing up across the board. Couple of 50s. Irvin at 56, Jonesville at 52, and 55 at Middlesboro. But it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous day with the temperatures back and forth with the clouds. They'll mix in with the sunshine. Scattered rain chances will be around as we head through today and tomorrow. But sunshine returns on Sunday and carries us into the week. So if you're heading out this morning, I know a lot of folks don't have to head out today, and that's a good thing. But again, if those who still have to work, it's going to be in the 70s today, and increasing clouds, no fog to deal with as you head out this morning. Lacey?
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden announced how he would be handling the pandemic if he were president. We'll have the details.